Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Ohio.
They're streaming in from the North Hills as Fox Sports Ohio brings you Cincinnati Reds baseball. Tonight live from PNC Park in Pittsburgh. The Reds' final stop on a 10-day, 4-city road trip. It's the Reds against the Buccos. Hi, hello, and welcome to Pittsburgh, everyone. Along with the crafty left-hander Chris Welch and Jim Day, I'm George Grant. Well, Reds have struggled this year, yes, but the good news is they are over 500 in the Central Division, and they're 6-1 against the Pirates, a team they played very well against.
You know, all these teams look at the Reds and they think, well, we match up well against the Reds. We ought to take care of those teams that we should beat. The Brewers say that, and the Pirates say that. Well, guess what? They haven't done that against the Reds recently. Reds have really done a good job, especially with the kind of pitching that they've been able to do here in PNC Park.
Homer Bailey's off the disabled list, and he'll get the ball tonight. And when you add it up against the Pittsburgh Pirates, he has pitched well in Cincinnati, and even more so here, where Chris, of course, he threw a no-hitter.
Well, he first of his 2 no-hitters right here. You see the record that he has when he comes into Pittsburgh and pitches at PNC Park. And Adam Bailey, you know, they're looking at on a good game, he gives them 8 innings. He dominates like he would, you know, back in the old days. And in a bad game, he gives you at least 5 innings. So you're looking for Bailey not only to be a pitcher tonight, but it'll be a leader out there too and try to get this skid that the Reds are on stopped right here in Pittsburgh.
Strangely enough, even though he's pitched well here, a lot of the Pirates have pretty good numbers against Homer Bailey. Andrew McCutchen is one of them. McCutchen around a 300 hitter against him, and I guess Kutch is back, Chris, because he had a great month of July.
Yeah, he's swaggering a little bit more than he did. Remember the beginning of the year, they're going to move him out of center field, put him in right. I think his ego got hurt a little bit. The team didn't respond well. Well, he's strutting a little bit now because when he gets hot, he can carry a ball club, and he's seeing the ball right now as big as he has all year long.
Well, McCutchen's in the lineup. One guy who's not in the lineup for the Reds tonight is Scott Schebler. He's on the disabled list. Move just made before the game. Philip Irvin's been called up. Jesse Winker replaces Tony Cingrani. So some changes. All of those and more coming your way. And we'll take a look at the big moments of this month of July as we head into the month of August. JD will be next. Jim Day rolls through the highlights for the month of July.
lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good, it's Skyline time. Steel City, Pittsburgh, PA. First of 3, Reds and Pirates coming up. I'm Jim Day. We've reached August. Time to look back at the top moments of July. We've got 5 of them, one off the field. At number 5, it would be on July 22nd. The long-awaited moment. There were ceremonial donkeys, but this is the donkey. Donald the Donkey, named on July 22nd and presented from Joey Votto to Zach Cozart and the Cozart family. And Joey Votto even donned the mic on that day and made his reporter debut. Moment number 5 of the month of July as Zach looks on from the disabled list as his team is ready for action as we go upstairs to the guys that will call it, George Graham and Chris Welsh.
Thanks, JD. Always one of the highlights for us when you give us your highlights of the month and some interesting ones from this month of July. Let's check the Cincinnati Reds starting lineup for Brian Price, sponsored by Menard. You got it, Billy Hamilton at the top of it. Jesse Winker called up after the Cingrani trade yesterday. He's inserted into the lineup. Have more about him as the night progresses. Joey Votto hits in the number 3 spot. Adam Duvall behind him. Scooter Gennett bumped down in the lineup. Will be at second base. Eugenio Suarez. Peraza back at short. Barnhart the catcher. And Homer Bailey will be on the mound and bat in the number 9 position. On the mound for the Pittsburgh Pirates, one of their young guns, Chris. A couple of years ago, you heard a lot about 3 or 4 pitchers that were going to carry the load for the Buccos in a chase towards the championship in the Central. This guy's been one of them. While he hasn't reached all the numbers you would expect, he could be formidable.
You know, in a way, Jameson Taillon is what Homer Bailey was to the Reds about 8 years ago. First coming on his way in the major leagues, he was derailed this year by a discovery of cancer, and he had to have surgery and was on the disabled list. He's had about 5 or 6, 7 starts since that time, coming off a nightmarish worst outing of his young career, his last time out against the Giants. But he's certainly better than that, and he's trying to get on track tonight.
6'5", 220, 25 years of age. From Texas, he delivers to Billy. Billy shows bunt. There's strike number 1, says Adam Hamari, the home plate umpire. Bill Miller, the crew chief, is your umpire down at first. Todd Ticknor is at second. And Nick Lenz is your third base umpire. So the big right-hander, long leg delivery. Delivers to Billy. That's down and in for a ball. David Freese, edge of the grass, but not in front. Usually third basemen have been playing Billy about 3 or 4 steps in front of the bag until he gets to 2 strikes. They'll overshift to the right side. The Pirates were one of the most overshifting teams in the National League during the first 3 or 4 years of the shift saga as it's developed over the last 5. And Chris, I think they've, not that they've mellowed on it, but they don't quite shift as much as they used to shift back in the beginning.
Well, you got to have pitchers to be able to pitch your scouting report because the defense and the pitching go so closely in hand. And I think the team like the Pirates, who is one of the early teams to really adopt the analytics and go after the metrics in a big way, you know, we're trying to get that edge. And I can see why they were trying to do that. But the problem is that, you know, it doesn't always give you an edge. Good players are the ones to give you an edge, and I think you know, Clint Hurl has known that all along.
3-2 to Billy. That's a rifle shot into right center field. It will get past Jaso. This could be 3 for Billy. He speeds around second, heading to third. He'll have a stand-up 3-base hit to start things off for the Reds here in the first. John Jaso is in the lineup for his bat. They've had a revolving door in right field. He took a short cut towards it. It gets by him, and you know Billy's on his way to third when that happens.
You ever been to a county fair and you watch your kids try to chase down chickens and then you realize that the chicken is faster than you thought it was? That's what it looks like right there.
That guy can motor, can he? So Billy's sitting on third. The Reds have the leadoff hitter in scoring position, and here comes Jesse Winker. Winker, promoted from Louisville, where he's hitting .314 in 85 games, couple of homers and 41 knocked in. He fills the roster spot vacated when Tony Cingrani was traded to the Dodgers yesterday, just prior to the trading deadline. 4th time he's been up for the Reds this year. He's accomplished those first starts, including his first hit, 4 for 16. Breaking ball drops in there for a strike. 1-1. And with Scott Schebler placed on the disabled list prior to today's game with a nagging left shoulder injury, Winker figures to get a good chance to play on a regular basis. Missing, down and away. We talk about his overall average at Louisville. It's been outstanding at 314. Of late, he's been red hot at 372. That's slapped the other way and out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Jesse Winker.
You know, Winker has always impressed me, George, is being able to give you a good professional at bat. You know, I'm not sure about his power. I still think he has to prove that. But he has a good idea when he comes to the plate.
Down and in. And you know, Chris, you talk about numbers. You want your young players to have success. Sometimes people say you leave them too long at AA or too long at AAA, but you want them to have success on the road up the ladder. Here's the 3-2 to Winker. Ball 4, good eye, and the Reds have first and third. Well, for Jesse, as he heads up to Cincinnati for the 4th time this year, he led the International League in hitting and on base percentage, nearly a .400 percentage. And he's hit safely in 10 straights for the bats, hitting .400 during that period. So Winker's on.
I mean, I guess that Winker's probably as stunned as anybody else, especially Francisco Cervelli, who just went out to Jameson Taillon and said, let me get this straight. Did you actually just walk Jesse Winker, who they just called up from AAA today, so that you could pitch to Joey Votto? I wouldn't think Winker would be looking for too many walks sitting in front of Votto.
Here's Joey, 302, 27 homers, 71 knocked in. The 5-time All-Star. A year ago at this time was in the middle of one of the hottest streaks that you could imagine. This year, post All-Star, he started off slowly and has been on the beam of late. His average down to 295. Now it's back up to 302 with those 27 homers. And in uncharacteristic fashion, the chess match of Joey Votto and pitcher. 10 of those 27 homers have come on a first pitch this year, more than ever before in his career. Taillon takes a peek around his defense with the speedy Hamilton off third. And Winker down at first. Double play depth middle of the infield. They'll give away the run to try to get 2 on a ground ball. Joey rifles it the other way. 2-1. Uncommon ability in Joey Votto, Chris, but in addition to that, uncommon work ethic from a guy that, as we watch him day in and day out, huh?
Would it be nice for them to be calling Jesse Winker Jesse Votto here in a little while, huh?
They would love it. That's down and away for a ball.
Right now, Taillon, who really struggled in his last outing, gave up a career high number of, I think, 9 earned runs overall. He breezed through the first inning and then really ran into problems in the second and the third. Looks like he's pitching away from contact right now. It's a dangerous thing to do here at the top of the order.
3-1. Dribble to the right side. They'll get 1 at second. And not in time at first. That'll get a run in. Slow developing double play try. They'll get the force at second. Votto will pick up his 72nd run batted in as Hamilton scores. It's 1-0 Reds.
Well, as soon as Adam Frazier decides to stay back on that ball, and I guess the alternative would be running towards the baseline, maybe getting interfered with by Jesse Winker a little bit, or maybe even getting deked out by him. So very slow developing ground ball turns into a fielder's choice, and Jesse Winker on base. Billy Hamilton comes around to score.
And here comes Adam Duvall at 23 homers. Now tied with Votto with 72 runs batted in for the team lead. In his career, he's 4 for 11 and 2 homers against Taillon. He steps out, takes a look at Billy Hatcher, who rolls through some signs in the third base box.
And over in the first base coach's box, as usual, Freddie Benavidez. Ione from the stretch as they will overshift to the left side against Duvall. Ground ball to the left side. Tricky double play try for the Pirates here with the second baseman Frazier almost directly behind the second base bag. Ball and a strike.
You know, Tyone is going to remind you of Homer Bailey in a lot of ways. I mean, George already mentioned that he is from Texas, just like Homer Bailey. Also a first-round draft pick like Homer Bailey. Has not really grown into the expectations really where the Pirates had thought that he would be by now, but he's been derailed by a couple of major arm injuries. In fact, he went really from the year 2013 to 2016 without really doing much pitching at all.
Ione already piling up the pitches here in the first. They very seldom go more than 95 to 100 pitches for him in any game with this young right-hander who's had some arm troubles. Dribbled to the left side. They'll get one at second. No turn on the double play effort, so it'll go as a 5-4 fielder's choice. And on is Duvall. Time for your four defensive alignment for the Buccos. For Pittsburgh, they finally got the guy they expected to have in left. Marte is back in left after his suspension. McCutchen moved to center and is back where he belongs. When Marte hit the suspension list, McCutchen went back to center. He's played a solid center. And Jaso in for his bat is in right. Freese, Mercer, Frazier, Bell across the infield, and Francisco Cervelli behind home plate to catch Tyone. So a leadoff triple and a walk. The Reds have parlayed that into one, but that's all so far. Here's Scooter at 302, 18 homers, 59 knocked in. A dribbler down to first. Bell will take it. So thanks to Billy Hamilton, the Reds get the offense going. Homer's got a lead 1-0 as we go to the bottom of one. Chris Welch, Jim Day, as we bring you game one of this three-game series in Bucco Town. Let's check the starting lineup sponsored by Menards for Clint Hurdle and the Pirates, who start today in the National League Central Division, 5.5 back of the division leading Cubs. Marte back in the leadoff spot. Frazier bats second. McCutchen, the average back to near 300, hits in the 3 spot. Switch hitting Josh Bell behind him. Freese, Jaso Cervelli. Mercer, good defense, good hitting shortstop, hits in the 9th spot, and Tyone will be in that final spot in the order. And here's Homer, Chris, returning to a spot that he's found to be a very comfortable mound.
Well, this will be his 8th start of the season since coming back from a couple of arm injuries. Had surgery back in January or February. Homer Bailey did. In his lifetime, his career 69 or 62 wins and 59 losses. So 3 games over 500 as he takes place on one of his favorite pitching mounds here.
Where he is 3 games over 500, 5-2 and a 2.58 earned run average here in Pittsburgh at PNC Park. Marte 2 for 16 in his last 4 games after coming off the suspended list and being red hot. He was 9 for 24.
Well, that's what you call guessing, seeing something that is almost similar to what you're looking for and letting it rip on a 2-0 count.
Two balls, 2 strikes to the left fielder.
Pretty good looking slider right there from Homer Bailey, and they had a very sharp break on it and had Marte really pulling off of it.
That got him on the arm. So the Reds leadoff hitter reaches on a triple. The Pirates leadoff hitter hit by a pitch, and he'll march down to first.
Now, Marte, like a lot of hitters, has a little bracer on that front elbow. I don't see why anybody wouldn't do it if you could get permission from the commissioner's office to do so. But still, all it does is protect you from major injury. It doesn't take the pain away very much.
There's Frazier at 275, 3 homers, 31 knocked in for a guy who'll play some second base and play the outfield as well. Pirates off yesterday, as were the Reds. Frazier over the weekend 6 for 10. And in right field on Saturday in San Diego, had a 2 for 4 evening. Left field hit pretty good. Duvall back, edge of the warning track, looking up. He's got it. Marte went halfway and will retreat. Here's your 4 defensive alignment for Cincinnati. Duvall's over in left. Billy Hamilton in center, and Jesse Winker, just called up from Indy, is over in right. Suarez, Peraza, Scooter, Gennett, and Votto across the infield, and Tucker Barnhart behind the plate. That's the Cincinnati defensive alignment. The Reds 3rd in the league defensively. They've been solid all year long, brilliant in the outfield. They lead the league in number of assists from outfielders, led by Billy Hamilton with 9 in center field. And here's McCutchen, a former Gold Glove winner in center. Marte's going, got a big break, and he'll steal it easily.
You know, it's a really good time for Marte to go. On the very first pitch that you're going to face with Andrew McCutchen, you know that 100% of the focus of Homer Bailey is going to be on McCutchen. He's hot right now, and Marte takes advantage of a little bit of a distraction and gets to second base.
Marte is usually sitting on somewhere around 30 stolen bases a season. Of course, that cut short this year by his 80-game suspension. And McCutchen, the numbers have improved against Bailey as well. 311 for his career. In fact, half of his starting lineup is around 300 or better against Homer Bailey in their career. And his home run total now up to 22 after 3 big flies this weekend, Chris. I guess he's back.
Well, he was quoted after hitting home runs on Sunday, George, saying that he's seeing the ball better now than he has in a long time, and he just put good swings on him, hit him even home runs here in San Diego.
San Diego, a pitcher's park. They've moved the fences in a little bit, still tough to get him out there, and he hit 3 homers on Sunday to give him 22 on the season. This one hit. What a stop. The throw to third will be not in time. It'll go as a base hit. Peraza made a brilliant diving stop and almost picked the pocket of Marte, who's really trying to turn the corner and head home. He thought the ball was through. Taking a look.
Marte probably thought it was a base hit. That's how good that play was right there. Marte puts on a little burst of speed and just is able to beat the throw to Suarez.
Great glove work by Peraza And Marte just gets the hand in time. Boy, that ball resounded off the bat of McCutchen. Sounded like it used to sound, huh? So an infield hit. And it's first and third with one out for Josh Bell, the switch hitting first baseman. The numbers for Bell, 19 home runs now. That's the #1 slot for switch hitters in the National League. And he's on a list of some pretty good switch hitters that have worn Bucco unis, and this will get a run in. Marte will score easily, so just like that, the 1-0 lead evaporates. And Bell picks up run batted in number 57 on the season.
That looked like a breaking ball right there that he simply left up in the zone. Probably one of those split finger fastballs meant to be down and away, maybe get a double play out of, and Bell was able to hit a line drive into right field. One thing the Pirates are missing, of course, especially with Gregory Polanco not able to play, he's on the DL, is some left-handed enforcers, and that's where Bell, who's a switch hitter, kind of comes in.
Here's John Jaso, another one of those guys who's hit pretty well. Rather, David Freese, who steps in. Freese at 260 with 7 homers and 32 knocked in. And Christian, the hit by Bell, a rarity. We were here in April, and the Reds got off to a running start against the Pirates. The Pirates this year were 6 for 46 with runners in scoring position against the Reds coming in. One of the reasons why the Reds are 6-1 against Pittsburgh.
Seems like a long time ago.
In many ways, huh? Freese 260 and those 7 round trippers. One away. Reds double play positioning in the middle of the infield. With Freese up and Jaso in the on deck circle. Oh, they got him picked between second and third. They'll tap him out, and there will be no throw to second. Getting to second will be Bell. So alertly, Bell gets to second. And McCutchen gets his pocket picked at second.
Boy, what a quick move by Homer Bailey. I'm not sure where McCutchen was going, probably third base. So really, when it ultimately boils it down, you know, you have almost the same situation, except 2 outs instead of 1. As McCutchen is tagged out right there. But you still have a runner in scoring position.
2 away. Bailey from the stretch will try to get out of the inning with Freese.
Well, you just don't see that many players picked off second base. Now, I'm stunned that a runner the caliber of Andrew McCutchen would be that easy bait out there.
Had a big lead to start with and no reaction, especially with the infield at double play depth and tight to second. I mean, either Peraza or Scooter Gennett were in position to get to the bag. And Chris, you've been there, but a lot of ways to put on the pickoff. Sometimes the catcher will put it on, sometimes the second baseman will put it on, sometimes the bench will put it on.
It makes your third baseman coach look bad, though, when you get picked off second base.
You're right.
That's what Joey Cora is thinking about right now.
3 balls, 1 strike. One of the great third base coaches of all time, Rich Donnelly, of course, was here for Jim Leland back in the old days, and he came back again early in Clint Hurdle's tenure. And Rich Donnelly, native of Steubenville, Ohio, said, yeah, I'm a third base coach. It's kind of like being an air traffic controller. You only hear about us when the plane goes down. Somebody gets thrown out at the plate or picked off, it's our fault. Not Joey's fault when something like that happens. Full count, 3-2. That misses ball 4. And a guy, Chris, who you and I knew well during his coaching and managerial days, Lee Elia, former great coach in Philadelphia, man.
One of the best rants of all time, Lee Elia.
In Chicago when he was with the Cubs. When he was a third base coach with the Yankees, he went in with Dallas Green, and the Yankees had no speed on their team. The day before the season started, he was with a couple of us, and we were talking about the year. He said, "Shake my hand." He said, "Meet the worst third base coach in the American League." He says, "I'll tell you now, we can't run. Nobody steals a base. It's going to be a long year." He was right. Here's Jaso. A hit batter, an infield hit, a base hit to right, and a walk, all in the first inning. And both Bailey and Tyone each have had over 20 pitches in this first inning. In the dirt, good block by Barnhart. As rants go, Lee Elias was one of the best, wasn't it?
You know what, George, you remind me about Lee Elia. I may just have to look that up tonight and listen to it a couple of times. He had some great one-liners in that thing, as I remember.
Yep. This one hit deep to right. Looking up, going back is Winker at the wall. He got it. Jesse Winker picks one off in front of the 21-foot Roberto Clemente wall in right. This saves a couple right here. Another look at a dandy from Winker and right. And we remain tied at 1 in Pittsburgh. Our Miller Time moment brought to you by Miller Lite. And we got a candidate already, Chris. What a way to come up and make a defensive stamp on your presence. Jesse Winker did a dandy.
Well, you know, your quest, I think, as a young player, obviously, is to get through the major leagues and stay there. But the way Jesse Winker will do that will be a complete player. I mean, be savvy on the bases, not a burner, but he's got to play good defense, but probably plus than average defense, and be able to develop as a hitter. If you got that, you got a big leaguer on your hands.
There's Eugenio Suarez, who will lead it off as we go to the top of 2. Suarez, one of the few Reds who struggled against Taillon, only 2 for 11. There are 4 Reds hitters who are over 300, topped by the guy who's in the on-deck circle, who's hitting 750 against Taillon. Jose Peraza. Now, Chris, it's great to watch players evolve, and we've watched Suarez, after he came over from Detroit, struggle defensively, get better after time and time again working with Freddie Benavidez. We watched him struggle offensively. There's a swing and a miss. Out number 1. And while Jose Peraza was at his worst struggling earlier this month. I mean, one of the guys who really spent a lot of time with him, trying to boost him up emotionally, was Eugenio Suarez. And for whatever reason, Peraza's starting to turn the corner. 4-game hitting streak. He had a great series in Miami. And maybe he's got the oars back in the water, going in the right direction again. 6 for 13 in Miami.
Well, you know, George, a lot of people seem to just group all Latin and Spanish speaking players together. But there's a big difference as to whether you come from Mexico or Dominican Republic or from Venezuela. And the two guys you mentioned, Suarez and Peraza, are countrymen in Venezuela. And that country is going through a terrible time right now. They've got a lot of things on their mind of their friends and families back in that country. You know, in addition to trying to compete up here at the big leagues.
That's going to get past McCutchen. Rounding first, going to second will be Peraza. The throw not in time, and Peraza has his second double against Taillon, and the Reds have another runner in scoring position.
So I think that there's a little big brother, little brother thing going on there with Suarez being the older brother, and the little brother right there finding a gap between right and center field. McCutchen comes in to try to make a shoestring grab, and it goes off his glove.
Chris, you make a great point, because so many people outside of baseball will say here is a group of Spanish speaking players. And here's Taillon to the stretch against Barnhart, the switch hitter for the Reds. But there's a dramatic difference whether you're from Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Cuba. It's a different country, and there are different allegiances. And not always do people from Cuba like people from Venezuela or the Dominican or vice versa. So there is a brotherhood with your countrymen. Broken bat pop up to the right side. Bell giving chase. Will he have room? You know, the other part of it too, you hear, you know, organizations say, well, they need a Spanish speaking coach on that staff. And if it's not the right Spanish speaking coach that can communicate with players from each of those different countries, and not necessarily a positive, it can be a negative. You know, like we had Juan Castro, who communicated with everybody. Sure. He was a leader among all the Spanish players. There have been other Spanish coaches who you couldn't say that about. And boy, what an asset he is in Los Angeles right now. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hit hard and through. Around third comes Peraza. Barnhart continues his assault, and the Reds take the lead back again. So Barnhart's base hit to center. Peraza scores, and the Reds lead it 2-1.
It almost looked like Jordy Mercer was heading back to second base, like he was going to present a pickoff right there. And that's the vacated hole right there, is where Tucker Barnhart laced that ground ball. Tony Jaramillo, assistant hitting coach, is debriefing Peraza right there. Okay, what you did is good. Next time we want you to hit about 30 feet farther, the same spot.
Bailey showing bunt, dribbles it down. It will kick foul. And we're trying to get another runner in scoring position. Takes a look at Billy Hatcher, who rolls through some signs for him. Barnhart off first, Taillon to the stretch. Freeze coming in from third. Gets it right back to the pitcher, and they just don't get it there. It looked like the throw pulled Mercer off the bag. The ball was there in enough time, but safe at second will be Barnhart. So the Reds have 2 on after this play.
You know, I think Taillon waited until he heard the directions from the catcher as to where he was going to throw it. He just didn't pounce on that ball as much as I thought he would. Mercer did not have his feet in contact with the bag.
Did he tag him though when he was off the bag? I wonder if Clint Hurdle is not challenging. There was no wave from the dugout. It looked like the tag and the swipe by Mercer may have gotten Barnhart after he lost contact with the bag. In any event, the Reds will have 2 on with only 1 out. And back to Billy at the top of the order, who started it all with a triple.
Last time Tyon took the mound against the Reds here was back in May, when Rookie Davis pitched 5 shutout innings against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Tyon ended up giving up 3 in the first and then 3, I think, at about the 4th. But some of those runs came on a home run by Billy Hamilton.
How about this? Going way back, looking up. On cue, Chris. A round tripper for Billy. Hamilton hits number 3. So Billy waves the magic wand on cue from the crafty left-hander. It's a 3-run shot, and the Reds lead it 5-1. So put 1 on the list for Billy in his personal battle with Adam Duvall. Duvall has said, I'll have more stolen bases than you'll have homers. Well, Billy's on his way back. A bullet home run number 3.
I love watching that kid smile and laugh. He really has a good time playing baseball.
It's the best. It's the best. Now he gets congratulations, and you know he's going to wear out Duvall. So a triple and a homer. He's got the 2 toughest parts of the cycle already in his first 2 at bats. Winker walked his first time up. Here's the 363 feet worth of homer, Chris.
Well, he probably got the same pitch that he got back in May off of Tyon and just drilled it.
And that's drilled right back through the middle. Mercer has it, and Winker will be retired. He hit it right on the button, but right at the shortstop. And here comes Joey. See, now he's checking with Tomas Vera, because Tomas Vera is the official statistician in the battle, the statistical battle between Hamilton and Duvall. His job to keep track of who's ahead at one juncture of the season. There's Joey bounced into a fielder's choice that plated a run in the first. Slapped the other way and out of play down the left field line. Nubs this one down to third. Freeze has it, and that'll do it. But the Reds do some business. Double by Peraza, single by Barnhart, and boom, Billy goes deep. Home run number 3. Reds lead at 5-2. for serious injuries. Well, here's some serious numbers. Yes, the Reds have struggled this year overall. 23-46 versus all of Major League Baseball except the Central. They're 2 games over 500 against the Central, including a 6-1 record against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And starting play today, the Cubs 2.5 over Milwaukee, Cardinals 4.5 back, Pittsburgh 5.5 back, and the Reds 14.5 back. In the wild card, Pirates still hoping 8.5 back to start play today. Arizona and Colorado are the 2 wild card teams. Milwaukee 5.5 out of the wild card. St. Louis 7.5 out of the wild card. Here's Francisco Cervelli hitting in the 7th spot, 265 homers. Dribble down to short. Peraza has it, and there's one away. So Bailey trying to get a easy inning after a 23 pitch first inning. Gets the first batter on an easy ground out, and here's Jordy Mercer. Very solid defensively, always Gold Glove caliber at short, and solid offensively with the bat. 263, 10 homers on the year, 44 knocked in for Jordy Mercer. Similarities and differences between these 2 franchises, of course, since the Pirates opened this stadium. In fact, the Reds played the very first game here. Barry Larkin stepped into the batter's box as the first batter ever at PNC Park for the Reds. Pirates have come close numerous times, but always shy of the World Series. They've been wild card participants, but unable to go deep into the postseason. Got in on him a little bit. It's popped into left. Long run Duvall, and he'll get there. MLB.com at bat is your #1 mobile app for live Reds baseball. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Get Reds home screen icons and app features as well as game day, live game video highlights, and a whole lot more, including radio broadcast, statcast, news too. Download MLB.com at bat today. Great to have you with us. George Grant, Chris Welsh, Jim Day. JD will be rolling down the highlights of July, and in a month where the Reds struggled on the scoreboard, still some memorable moments that JD will be chronicling. Down in the truck, Josh Hall, our producer, Roy Alfers, our director. Matt Sigafus styling up some highlights like the replays of Jesse Winker's catch, and Lauren White with some statistical assists to us as well. And of course, back home in the studio in Cincinnati, Jeff DeCoro, Brian Gieseslaw with Kent Dreamweaver, Ron Millenor, and the crew keeping you up to date. We'll have Reds Live postgame to wrap this up. And you'll hear from Brian Price before anybody else. That's a strike right down the middle. That's the kind of inning you like. 1, 2, 3 for Homer. Duvall up when we return.
The windup by Lopez, the 0-2 pitch. Ground ball in the hole left side, through, base hit left field. He's done it. Siri has done it. 36 in a row for Jose Siri on an 0-2 pitch. Siri has just broken the all-time Midwest League record.
And not only did he break the record last night, he's already extended it today. Barnard IGS bringing the energy, doubled in the first inning, now a 37-game hitting streak at Dayton, longest in Midwest League history. Hey, Siri, who has the record in the Midwest League? That'd be Siri.
First pitch swinging. Adam Duvall bangs one into left center field. Here comes the throw. It'll be wide, and it'll be a 2-base hit for Duvall. So Duvall, who came in 4 for 11 and a couple of homers against Tyone, picks up 2-bagger number 30 on the season. Hey, JD, I mean, it seems like you've done as many highlights of Siri over the last few years as any Reds player. It's been amazing, huh?
Yeah, and we first were introduced to Jose Siri a couple of spring trainings ago in a spring training game in the dugout where, you know, his last name is Siri. If you have an Apple phone, you ask Siri questions, and Brandon Phillips kept
pretty good.
pressing on Siri as if he was a button and kept asking him questions. It was quite the funny moment.
He doesn't look at all like his voice.
That's going to be on your highlight reel. Let's when we're finished with the top moments of July, we've got to talk about your top moments too. But that's got to be one of them. That was fun. Spring training, you've come up with some dandies. Here's Scooter, bounced out first time up. I thought the Todd Frazier French fry piece was pretty good too.
That was great. I'll tell you, if you want to get to know these Reds players, all you got to do is hang around Jim Day. They come to him like a magnet. He was hanging out with them last night. Jim was, and I'm sure we're going to get some video and maybe even some still shots of what their big night off here in Pittsburgh consisted of.
And he didn't even wind up in jail.
I mean, they had not just seats, but they had front row seats at the WWE Raw.
Now, of those 4 people, who do you think you can credit for getting them in? Bronson.
Oh, you think so? I thought it would be all JD. No? What do you think, Jim?
That was Bronson all the way.
Hey, you weren't kidding when you said down in Miami and they had Ric Flair Day. The Nature Boy was there. That Bronson was a huge wrestling fan, and I guess you guys have been making plans on this for a while.
Well, he grew up on the same street with Bray Wyatt, who's a former WWE champion, one of their big stars right now, and Bray Wyatt had as his guest last night. I was just a tag along.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Okay, let's list it then. Is Bronson at the top of the list or Sean Casey when it comes to wrestling?
Casey's a bigger wrestling fan by far.
I agree.
Yeah, Bronson just grew up around them and is a wrestling fan because of that. But Casey is a hardcore wrestling fan.
Yep. 3-2. Rip but foul. But Bronson is better connected throughout the entertainment industry. You would agree to that? Music, wrestling, you name it.
Yeah, he's connected throughout the entertainment industry. I got to tell you, though, Sean Casey, friends with John Cena, who's one of the biggest names in wrestling. So Case might match him in the wrestling circles.
3-2 to Scooter. That's slashed into left. That'll be a base hit. They're going to hold the runner. Duvall will stop at third, and now they got the runner caught in a rundown. Duvall staying down. There's nobody at second. There's nobody there, and he's going to make it to second. Oh, brain cramp for the Pirates. Nobody took charge of second base, and the Reds have runners at second and third instead of a scenario where they would have got at least 1 out and maybe more. The Reds get the benefit of a brain cramp, and the end result is second and third, still nobody out here in the third.
Well, the brain cramp is basically lack of hustle and lack of realizing that you can actually do something more than just watching the play happen if you're an outfielder. I mean, this is a nice read by Duvall. He's thinking he's going to be sent. He's not. The throw comes all the way over the cutoff man. And that sets up a chance for Scooter Gennett to go to second base. But you have to kind of anticipate that. I think by the time McCutchen realized that there was nobody at second base, he was just too late to get there. But, you know, it's anticipating a little bit ahead of time. You know, if you're a young player at home and you see a play happen on the other side of the field, start drifting that way. You know, you just may become very involved in that play. You may end up being the hero of the game.
Infield in. Runners at second and third. Still no one out here in the third. Suarez struck out first time up. 1 ball, 1 strike. Down and away. Good scoop by Cervelli. Francisco, yes, has taken over this pitching staff, a leader on this ball club, and he spent a lot of time in the dirt this year with Pirate pitchers who have been all over the place. Here's the 2-1. Out in front, takes a little off, and it's 2-2. That'll get a run in. Duvall tagging. Scooter tagging at second, but will hold there. Adam will score on the sacrifice fly for Suarez. That's run batted in number 52, and the Reds lead it 6-2. Good battle back from Suarez. And Duvall starts it with a double, scores on the sacrifice fly, and the Reds have a 4-run lead. And here's Peraza, who's double plated a run in the second. So 1 away and Scooter off second. Down to third, just foul, and it's 0-2.
All of a sudden, it just seems like Peraza has improved bat speed, better balance at the plate, maybe a better foundation under him by having his feet in a more comfortable and solid ground. He hit the ball hard in Miami, as you said, George, had a number of hits to pick up and prove it.
And he'll get this into center for a base hit. Scooter had to retreat to second, thinking that Mercer may have had a chance to catch it in the air, so he won't score. But it's another hit. 2 hits tonight for Peraza, and the Reds have first and third.
Well, they're hitting them hard and they're falling in. They're hitting them soft. That's a pretty good slider right there, but Peraza is able just to play a little defense, put the bat on it.
And here comes Barnhart, who singled to center and knocked in a run his first time up. And Ray Searage is going to take a slow walk as they start to loosen in the bullpen. A couple of guys are stretching down in the Pirate bullpen. Already 63 pitches for Tyon. We're only in the 3rd inning.
Well, I think both these managers are probably more concerned about innings pitched rather than pitch counts. I mean, pitch counts happen when you're coming off of a disabled list or an injury of some kind, or a young pitcher coming up and they're trying to protect his overall number of pitches. But at this point in the year, even with Tyon being on the disabled list with a cancer surgery earlier in the year, I think he's now into his 7th or his 8th start since his recovery.
Ray Searage has delivered his message. Here's Tucker. Single to center to knock in the go-ahead run for the Reds. That made it 2-1 Cincinnati in the second. Wade LeBlanc is up and starting to loosen. He had a great 5-inning relief stint against the Reds earlier this year here. Down to first. They'll go to second for one. On to first, and that double play will get him out of the inning. Well, whatever Ray Searage said, it sure worked. Reds do get another run, lead at 6-2.
Number 4, dual catches July 7th at Arizona. Billy Hamilton going a mile and a half and paying the price. Nearly had a double play with a throw to first base, but watch him crash and crash hard into the wall. Selling out, as did Adam Duvall. July 23rd versus the Marlins. Watch him race into foul ground. Not a lot of room to deal with, and a hard wall to boot. And a nice play. Reds outfield has been so solid defensively. Top 3 moments coming up.
And we started a new month, but we added to the outfield legacy with, he joined us late, Scott Schebler placed on the disabled list with that left shoulder discomfort that he's been playing through. Philip Ervin arrived at the ballpark just before the game. He was activated. And out in right field tonight for the Reds is Jesse Winker, and already he's come up with a dandy play to rob extra bases. Here's Philip. Good to see him, Chris. Through the minor leagues for the Reds, and as you may have heard when Brian Price talked about the aftermath of the Cingrani trade, you know, they're going to get a chance to see some different lefties in the bullpen up from the minor leagues, and the parade of young players will continue, both position players and pitchers, for the Reds in the final 2 months of the season. Here's Marte, hit by a pitch in the first inning. In a hole here, 0-2. And you can add up the Pirates any different number of ways, Chris, but the fact you lost Starling Marte for 80 games due to his performance-enhancing substance suspension, and Gung Ho Jong never did get here this year after his legal problems.
DUI related.
Yep. So you take 2 big bats out of the lineup for this Pirate team for a lengthy period of time, and it's taken its toll. Fly ball to center, 1 away.
Well, it will on any ball club, but it will be especially pronounced on a team like the Pittsburgh Pirates or the Reds that don't have the money to spend on, you know, big league backups. You know, what they have as backup is probably somebody they got off the scrap heap somewhere, or maybe someone coming through the minor leagues. And they've tried to keep it together to be contenders here over the last few years, and I think they've just run into some tough luck.
Here's Adam Frazier, gets the start at second base today. We don't get a chance to see one of our favorite players, Josh Harrison. He left Sunday's game in San Diego after he twisted his leg on the first base bag early in the game, the second or third inning. It's hopeful that Jay Hay will be back in the lineup soon. He adds energy, spark, and good solid play. All the highlights of the first half of this year. It was great to see him being named to the WBC team as one of the fill-in players. And boy, you talked to Jim Leland and Paul Seiler, the head of USA Baseball. They were so happy to have him. He didn't get to play a lot, but he was on that championship WBC team, and he meant a lot to the spark on that team. Two balls, two strikes to Frazier. Homer in his career is 8-6 against Pittsburgh with an ERA of 3.68. Here at PNC, he's 5-2. And over the years, Chris, we've seen some nights when Homer's been just about untouchable. One of those was here in September of 2012, his no-hitter. Did he go? No, he didn't. So full count, 3-2. And JD, that's another one of your highlights. That next spring you sat down in spring training with Homer Bailey and went over the no-hitter, pitch by pitch, inning by inning, and it was great to see how he reacted to that. That's a bullet in the alley against the right center field wall. It'll be a double for Frazier. One out, one on, and here comes McCutchen.
Frazier they really like. I mean, they need some left-handers in this lineup anyway, and Frazier delivers on it with a low pitch that he's able to line into the right center field gap.
So good speed at second for the Pirates, and here's McCutchen. With Marte on second, he hit a bullet to short that Peraza gloved. A diving stop, but McCutchen beat it out for a base hit, and the Pirates had runners at first and third in the first, and Josh Bell's single tied the game at 1 following McCutchen.
The Pirates right now have a payroll of about $95 million. Their commitments going forward next year are somewhere in the $50 million range. McCutchen's big salary comes off after this year, unless they're able to keep him on with a team extension. He does have an option for next year. I'm not sure how much that's worth. There was a lot of talk over the last few years, however, whether the Pirates are going to extend Andrew McCutchen. Just based on the fact that he spent his whole major league career here. He's been an MVP, he's a multi-year All-Star. I mean, he's basically the face of the organization. To date, they have not done that, although they did give a couple of contracts out. Josh Harrison has a multi-year deal. Starling Marte sitting on a long-term deal, as is Gregory Polanco.
They talked about an extension, but there was also extensive talk about trading him this past offseason. And while other people got contracts, give McCutchen credit, he handled it better than a lot of players would have. And he just showed up this year, and since May the 24th, he's leading all National League players in on-base percentage and batting average. Does he check it? 2-2. Now, we were back in early May when people were wondering, would he ever get back? On May 23rd, he was 200. And here on August the 1st, 292 after hitting 370 since May the 24th. 2-2.
Well, he had just a monster month of June, McCutchen did, where he was on base more than 50% of the time. Combine that with 6 home runs and 23 driven in, and then in July he nearly duplicated those numbers, although the batting average wasn't quite as lofty, in 322 range rather than being over 400. You know, he was probably just trying to convince people that it was just a little bit premature to write him off.
And just like Joey Votto, always tough with runners in scoring position. 360, and there's a call, strike 3. Great pitch by Homer Bailey. He gets McCutchen looking. So for Homer, that's his second strikeout.
You know, sometimes you just get fooled on the pitch. You can't pull the trigger. And I think that may have been a splitter that Homer Bailey throws on the outer part of the plate. Hard to tell really without seeing it again in slow-mo whether it was a splitter or slider. And it makes a difference because McCutchen may have been able to read a slider, but probably surprised that Bailey would throw him a split finger pitch.
Let's get a slow-mo look at it.
Looks like he's got his fingers spread and he just throws it like a fastball. So that would mean to me that it's a splitter, and that's something that McCutchen probably hasn't seen a whole lot of out of Homer Bailey.
McCutchen's hit .311 off him in his career. He's had pretty good numbers on him. Strike one to Josh Bell, who singled to right first time up. So Homer already 2 strikeouts tonight. In his most recent start on Wednesday against the Yankees, 6+ innings pitched, and for only the second time in his career threw at least 6 innings without a strikeout. The other time was way back in 2009. And realistically, and you can say it any way you want, but after another surgery this year and 3 surgeries over the last 4 years, he's getting reacquainted with his arm once again. And Chris, probably won't be 100% till spring training next year.
I mean, will it ever be 100% when you have three surgeries on one appendage? I mean, you're going to say, well, this pain doesn't really relate to what happened and not part of the same arm and so on. But I mean, it'll never be the same. So I think that's the first thing that you have to accept. And then what you have to do is figure out how you're going to pitch with it. What weapons do you have? What do you need to do in altering your in-between start work? What do you have to do in the off-season to get ready? I mean, Homer Bailey has an obligation to this ball club for the next several years, and not only to pitch, but to be a leader on that pitching staff.
2 balls, 1 strike to Josh Bell. Frazier off second. That's wide. 3-1. And one of the most difficult things when you are a player on any level, high school, college, and in the major leagues, you have an obligation to your teammates. 3-1. That's ball 4. So Homer issues a free pass. His second walk of the evening. Hey, join the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Cincinnati for the 3rd annual Sand Volleyball Classic on August the 12th. Co-ed teams of 8 are welcome to come out and compete for a great cause. Register today at bgcgc.org. That's bgcgc.org. Jesse, say that 4 times fast, please. Great to see Jesse Jackson get the bus and come to Pittsburgh, huh, Chris? Joining
I think he was driving the bus this time.
As long as we're not under the bus. Barnhart's going to go out and talk to Homer as he goes behind 1-0 to Freeze, so he walked first time up.
Well, I mean, I don't think they were in worry of losing the lead in this inning, but you don't want this to continue on. You got a couple of outs here. You want to snip it right here where it gets too deep. And maybe Barnhart's noticing something about Homer, where he's, his arm slide is, or the ball coming out of his hand.
And again, after the double by Frazier, he's been working from the stretch for a long time. Maybe Barnhart just wanted to give him a blow. Get him off the mound a little bit. Take a breather, get your breath, and let's take care of Freeze with 2 outs. Right field, curving foul. It'll be out of play.
Boy, had a pitch that hit right there, did David Freeze. He was just late on it. Freeze, to me, is a better breaking ball hitter than he is a fastball hitter. He just has a little bit of a long swing. He sometimes doesn't get to the good fastball, although Bailey's throwing in the 92-mile-an-hour range here tonight. That can be somewhat deceptive. He has a nice long stride, good extension towards home, so it could be effectively a little faster than what he's actually showing on the gun.
A little low, 2-1. man behind once again. 3 balls, 1 strike.
It's almost like Homer tonight is pitching not to make a mistake rather than pitching aggressively first and then worrying about your location, you know, maybe secondarily.
Rip foul and out of play down the right field line. All right, a good souvenir. Again to right field, and again this will be foul and out of play.
Anytime a guy is that late, that consistently off your fastball, the way that David Freese is to Homer Bailey's fastball this evening, it's just telling me he's protecting against a curveball or a slider in the case of Homer Bailey. So he wants to stay back to make sure he's not fooled.
Two. Runners going. That's fouled off again. Well, lengthy at bat for Freese. John J. So sitting and waiting. Bailey trying to finally put away the Pirate third baseman. Anybody get there? Winker will. Hit right on the button by Freese, but Jesse Winker there. So the Reds will hold on to that 4-run lead as we go to the 4th. Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, being brought to you tonight by Cincinnati Children's, changing the outcome together, and by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. Big swings for the Reds tonight. Billy Hamilton, a couple of hits, including his 3rd home run. Adam Duvall, a big double. Eugenio Suarez, a sacrifice fly, and Peraza, 2 hits, and the Reds have a lead. It is 6 runs, 7 hits, no errors, 2 left for Cincinnati. 1 run, 3 hits, no errors, and 4 left for the Pirates. Here's Homer. Sacrificed back in the 2nd and reached on a fielder's choice, and he leads it off here in the 4th. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Hamilton and Winker due to follow here in the 4th. Each pitcher over 60 pitches for the first 3 innings in this one here tonight. Tyone's 95-mile-an-hour delivery wide, and it's 3-2. Swing and a miss. There's a strikeout. That's out number 1 of the 4th, and here comes Billy. Billy tonight a triple and a homer, and Chris, his homer tonight is 3rd. Let's go back to May the 3rd. You mentioned he had one earlier from Tyon. You ask, here it is.
Yeah, that one was a little bit more down the line. You see that was in Cincinnati as well, but here in the 1st inning, Billy gets another one. Actually, in the 2nd inning it was. Part of that big uprising the Reds had when they scored 4 in the 2nd.
Double by Peraza, single by Barnhart. Bailey reached on the fielder's choice and sacrifice, and the homer by Billy. 2 balls, no strikes. That clips the lower part of the strike zone, so battling back after the 3-0 count, it's 3-2. Winker on deck. Hamilton 2 for 2. Winker a walk and a ground out. Stood him up with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball, and that's a strikeout and 2 away. Back-to-back strikeouts here in the 4th.
Well, it came up. Billy thought this may have been high right here. That's why he took it.
Three strikeouts for Tyon, and here's Winker. Four times this year. Number 33 has been up and down, Chris. We've watched him a lot over the last 4 years. Spring training, getting to know him, battled through injuries and at times subpar performance. There's a fly ball deep right center field going way back. That's going to be gone. Jesse Winker delivers a big fly. Well, here's another first for Jesse. Home run number 1 for Jesse Winker, inserted into the lineup tonight. He's come up with a big defensive play. This is a sweet swing, Chris.
I'll tell you, you know, a lot of people are wondering about the power of Jesse Winker. I'm wondering if maybe just getting him out of AAA, where you're hitting minor league baseballs that do not go as far as big league baseballs, where fences are shorter. That's a really good looking swing right there. Nice and smooth. Plenty of power. It's like, hey, did anybody see that? I did hit a home run, right? Nothing better than the silent treatment.
Now they'll give it to him.
It's good to see that team having that kind of fun.
Amen.
That has been a missing component.
Fun when you're leading, fun when you win. Yeah, I'll high five even if you guys aren't going to high five me. But there we go. Yes. Scooter stiffed him, and then everybody got him. And a lot of firsts for Jesse, and some great moments. Jim Day's going through the top moments of July. This may be one of the top moments of August. Certainly for Jesse Winker it will be. Fouled off by Joey. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Everybody doesn't progress in the same game plan, huh, Chris? As a pitcher or a hitter or whatever.
It's pretty hard to map it out and be accurate. You know, you're hoping that things go the way they do. You know, had it not been for an injury now to Scott Schebler, who's on the disabled list with a sore shoulder, you know, Winker wouldn't be up here, wouldn't be getting playing time. So you just wonder how, you know, little opportunities here and there can change the course of a player or change the course of a ball club.
Dick Williams, the general manager, has said it. Brian Price, the manager, has said it, that, you know, yes, this is a rebuilding year, and yes, off what transpired at the trading deadline and what we've been doing, we're going to continue to look ahead to 2018 and see what these young men have at the major league level. And we're seeing what Jesse has here. Well, after the homer single by Votto, and here with 2 outs in the 4th inning, Ray Searage making another visit to the mound to talk to Tyone. Started off with back-to-back strikeouts, and then the homer and the single by Votto. A lot of great pitching coaches in the game, Chris. I think you and I would agree in our years here, one of the best that we ever came across was Don Gullett. And when I'd sit and talk with Ray Searage, he reminds me so much of Don Gullett, the way he operates, the way he handles people, the way he communicates.
Searage is a lot more into the strategy of pitching, the emotions of what it's like to be out there, than he is the kind of the nuts and bolts mechanics guy.
Laced into center. That's going to drop for a hit for Adam Duvall. So Duvall is 2 for 3, doubled his last time, his 30th double of the year, and this single to center.
I spent a lot of time with Ray Searage. One year we played minor league baseball together, and we were both in the bullpen for the Oklahoma City 89ers, and we did a lot of talking about pitching down there. That's where I picked up a lot of tips. Of course, he was writing them down, but that's why I've forgotten them all.
Well, wait a minute. I mean, you had your website, The Thinking Pitcher, for all those years.
Yeah.
You had some good stuff. You had a mailer that went out and everything.
You know, a lot of the good advice on pitching was valid 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 80 years ago, just the same way it is right now. You know, sometimes we get so much information, we try to cloud it and make it seem more difficult than it is, when you really have to resort to basics because you're dealing with human beings. And I think that's one area where Ray Searage really gets it.
Tyone from the stretch, 2 out, 2 on. Scooter at the plate, singled his last time up. I mean, analytics, there's nothing wrong with analytics. They're good. They can tell you a lot about hitting and pitching. But can you say anything more than Warren Spahn? Hitting is timing and pitching is disrupting timing. Or can you say anything more intelligent than Ray Miller? Work fast, throw strikes, change speeds. Still works.
Well, or than what Robin Roberts used to say, which was throw first pitch strikes, get a decision on a 2-2 count, and have 2 speeds on your curveball. That was before they started calling them sliders.
Didn't Robin tell you that he usually uses just his fastball for about 6 innings and didn't break out anything else until later in the game? Of course, he had a fastball he didn't have to do.
Yeah, you know, but it really wasn't 100 miles an hour.
No.
It was fast, but it had a lot of movement, and he had terrific control and command. And I think he was able to figure out exactly what effort level he needed to give to be able to have really great command of that pitch. And I think that's the one ingredient that's missing on a lot of young kids coming out of the minor leagues. It's been the same for a long time.
2 balls, 2 strikes. That's low. Another 3-ball count.
You take that pitch right there by Tyone, 95 miles an hour, but off the plate. Never really looked like a strike. So instead of throwing at 95, if you throw at 92 or 93, and you just cut a corner of the plate in the same spot, are you going to get that much worse of a result from Scooter Gennett?
3-2, 2 outs, runners going. That's a fair ball into right field. Here comes Votto around third. He's going to score. Trying for second will be Scooter. The throw won't go to second. It'll come into the cutoff man, and another base hit, another run for the Reds. Scooter 2 for 3.
So So you miss your spot with a 95-mile-an-hour outside, then you try to muscle a 94-mile-an-hour fastball, and it goes right down the center of the plate. And that's why kids with as much talent as Jameson Taillon, you know, and fill in the blank, you know, Robert Stevenson, Sal Romano, Rookie Davis, all these guys, that's why they get hit, because they think they can rear back and throw it by big league hitters, and it just cannot be done.
That'll be it for Jameson Taillon. A.J. Schugel will be on his way in. Time for our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
Presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
There are the numbers: 8 runs, 11 hits, no errors for Cincinnati. 1-3-0 for the Pirates. And the Reds, we've told you when we started the night tonight, have a 6-1 record against this Pirates team. A record that certainly is an anomaly when you look at the Reds' overall record. And they've been scoring well and pitching well against Pittsburgh, and they're doing it again tonight. So Jameson Taillon's night is done after 3 2/3. And here comes A.J. Schugel, Chris, to take over in the 4th inning with 2 outs and runners at 2nd and 3rd.
Now Schugel, they picked up back in January, been released by, I think, by the Diamondbacks, moved around a number of different teams. Now 28 years old in his 8th game for the Pirates.
From the stretch, delivers to Eugenio Suarez. Suarez sacrifice fly made it 6-1 in the 3rd. For the Reds, Billy Hamilton, a triple and a homer. The homer was a 3-run shot. Jesse Winker has his first major league homer. Votto 1 for 3. Duvall 2 for 3. Scooter Gennett 2 for 3 and a run knocked in. Suarez sacrifice fly and a strikeout. Jose Peraza stretched his hitting streak to 5 straight with a single and a double. Barnhart has an RBI single and 1 for 2. And even Homer Bailey entered the parade with a sacrifice, reached on a fielder's choice, and Homer scored on the homer by Hamilton. 3 balls, no strikes from the right-hander to Suarez. And the bases are loaded. Hey, join the Reds in celebrating the nation's armed forces on Military Appreciation Days, presented by DAV, Disabled American Veterans, and Hankook Tire. All active duty, reserve, veteran, and retired service members and families can take advantage of special ticket offers on Friday. For tickets, visit reds.com/military. Roller coaster year for that guy, Clint Hurdle. He's seen his team play well in stretches and struggle in others. Has led this team to the postseason. There's a bouncer to short. Mercer will get the final out of the inning, so the Reds will head to the bottom of 4, and thanks to Jesse Winker, that lead is now 8-1. The Reds have the lead in Pittsburgh. Always a fun time, Pick. Thanks, and we'll be checking in with you later on Reds Live postgame. Jeff Pecoro and Brian Giesenslaw later on. Here's John Jaso. Jaso hitting 6th in the lineup will lead it off in the 4th against Homer Bailey. Pirates run came in the 1st. A hit batsman, an infield hit, and a single by Bell. So the book closed on Jamison Taillon, 3 2/3, 11 hits, 8 runs, 2 strikeouts, and a walk. 90 pitches for him in that 3 2/3 innings. Here's the 2-1. That's bounced wide of first, backhanded by Votto. He'll shovel it to Homer. And there's your first out of the 4th.
Well, Homer would really like to have a nice, easy inning right here. So would Brian Price. Doesn't want to worry about getting his right-hander out anytime too soon. He's in the mid-60s with the number of pitches that he has. Now you string together a couple of innings, though, where you're throwing, 13 pitches, 10 pitches, and so on. All of a sudden, you're going to look up, you'll be in the 7th or 8th inning.
Francisco Cervelli bounced to short first time up. Reds at Fox Sports Ohio like to send out a very special happy birthday wish to Harry Foyd of Springfield, Ohio, who's celebrating birthday number 100 today. Happy birthday, Harry. Thanks for rooting on the Reds and being with us night after night. I know it's been a roller coaster this year, but with the determination that you have to get to 100, the Reds hopefully can duplicate it and make you smile on this birthday night. Two balls, one strike. Looped into center. Billy's got it tracked, and he's got it 2 away. Hey, Saturday, don't forget rookie sensation Cody Bellinger and the LA Dodgers take on Yoenis Cespedes and the Mets. East Coast versus West Coast. 3 o'clock Saturday, only on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. I hope you were with us for Reds Live pregame today. We talked about the Reds one deal prior to the trading deadline last night. Tony Cingrani to Cincinnati. From Cincinnati to the Dodgers. He's in their bullpen as a left-handed setup guy. And the Pirates also dealt Tony Watson, their longtime setup and closer left-hander here. So now you got Cingrani and Watson to add to the setup for Kenley Jansen. And the Dodgers also got Hugh Darvish, Chris. If Kershaw gets back, that's great. I mean, you got Kershaw and Darvish to start a postseason series. If he doesn't, then you still got a guy who can be a #1 for you.
What it's done is immediately got Las Vegas all fired up and made the Dodgers favorites to win the World Series.
Last year was a magical year for the Cubs, and I guess you'd have to say you'd put the Dodgers on that list for this year, although it's still 2 months of baseball left. A lot can happen. This line to right curving foul and out of play. Now the Dodgers got Darvish, Watson, and Cingrani. The Yankees, of course, got Sonny Gray, and the probability is the Yankees and the Sonny Gray saga didn't unfold until the final hour before the trading deadline expired. That's probably why some other pitchers weren't dealt. Well, Homer dealing here. 1, 2, 3 in the 4th. Gets a strikeout looking, and the Reds on the smiling side of the scoreboard lead at 8-1.
Couple of days ago, Luis Castillo not only pitching against his former organization that traded him away, but pitching head-to-head with the guy they traded him for. And he outshines Dan Straley. 8 innings pitched, just 1 earned run. Brian Price said the kid finally put it all together in one game, and the Reds hope it's a glimpse into the future.
JD, we watch a lot of young pitchers come up, and you're in the clubhouse day in and day out. I think the one thing that's been evident is not just the way Castillo has pitched, but the way his teammates have reacted to him, not just before and after games, but during games when he's gotten in trouble and his demeanor.
Yeah, and you talk to players, and you watch thousands of games, which we have, and obviously the players have played in, and they know when someone has the it factor, and they just get it, and they are major league worthy. To a man on this team, everyone says Luis Castillo is the one rookie that has come up that has it right away. Passes the look test, the presence test, the stuff test, everything. Kid has it all.
Tucker Barnhart fouls it off. 2 balls, 1 strike. We were in Miami Edinson Volquez, the former Reds pitcher, pitching for the Miami Marlins this year, of course, on the disabled list now. He had a no-hitter earlier this year. Was able to go over and spend a little time with him on one day, and he said, you know who that young man right there reminds me of? He says, Johnny Cueto. He said, I remember when Johnny came up, and it's not the motion, the mechanics, but his demeanor, the way he handles himself, and that's pretty high praise from Edinson Volquez. Nobody knew Johnny better than Edinson. He said he's going to be good. And so far, so good, huh, Chris?
I really like him. I like him from the first time I saw him in spring training, and very happy for the Reds and Luis that he's been able to hit the ground running up here.
Zach Cozart said the same thing, George, compared him to Johnny Cueto and gave an instance where Cueto early in his career, Zach made an error and Cueto looked back at him and said, no problem, I got this. This is when Cueto was still a young pitcher. And the same thing happened with Luis Castillo and Scooter Gennett. Gennett makes an error. He looked back at Scooter and calmly said, I got this. I'm going to get these guys out anyways. So Zach Cozart has made that Cueto comparison as well.
You know, we talk very often about the eye test, and usually that means as you watch a player, you think, is this guy good? You know, is he major league caliber? Showing bunt. His homer gets it down. It's his second sacrifice successful tonight. 2-4 on the putout. The other eye test is when you look in someone's eyes when they're struggling or when they've had trouble, do you see fear? Do you see panic? And I think Castillo passes that eye test, doesn't he?
I think he does, George. I think we were waiting for him to put a game together that kind of parallels what his talent level is. He's just a very solid guy, really. You know, doesn't speak a lot of English, but if you can get a translator around, you can talk the language of pitching with him. I can tell you that. And right now he's all ears and doesn't talk a lot, so he's soaking it all in.
Billy drives this one to left. It'll be in the seats and out of play. No balls and one strike. Billy, first time up, tripled. Scored on a ground out by Votto to make it 1-0 Reds. Then hit a 3-run homer in the second, his third homer of the year, to make it 5-1 Cincinnati. Speaking of the month of July, Schugel had a pretty good month of July. 1-0 with a record of 1.0. 10 innings of work for this Pirate bullpen. And we talk about Tony Cingrani going to Los Angeles. The Pirates lost not just a left-hander who's been so solid over the years. That's a hopper down to short. Mercer has it, and they will barely get Hamilton down at first, 2 away. Well, when you lose Tony Watson, I mean, they've lost Melanson, who was a leader in his bullpen, and they lose Watson, who very clearly was a leader for Clint Hurdle and this bullpen crew. That's tough to replace, not just the appearances, but his presence.
It's a different deal, though, George. If you lose him to injury, that's one thing. But if you lose him to being traded, that's a message by your front office that we don't believe in this clubhouse right now. We don't believe that you guys in that dugout are 5.5 games back, that you can put a run together, and we're going to try to cut our losses and move on. And I think that's the message from the front office to this ball club.
Joaquin Benoit picked up via the trade deadline as well to come to town and help plug the holes in the bullpen for the Pirates in the final 2 bunts. And Watson's probably in the role that he's best suited for. That'll be as a setup guy to Kenley Jansen. I mean, he never politicked to be a closer here. When they asked him to be a closer, he said, I'll do it. But you got Cingrani, who had 17 saves last year, and Watson. Each of them have been through it before. This one sliced to left. Back is Marte at the wall, looking up. He got it. He robbed Winker of his second home run on a brilliant catch. Marte's made a career of making great catches against the Reds. You can put this on the list. Winker had a homer earlier. He may have had 2, except for Marte's brilliant catch in left. A star for Starling. Cincinnati are here. Starling Marte is a Gold Glove caliber either center fielder or left fielder, and he robs Jesse Winker of what could have been his second homer. And Billy said, well, we do that to them, they do that to us. And he's still shaking his head. Winker thought he had number 2.
I know the people here in Pittsburgh would love to see that catch, but I'm more excited about the fact that Jesse Winker has, you know, opposite field home run power on a nice smooth swing like that.
You know, Chris, when you watch him over the last couple of years, that swing has changed. It's, you know, it's a different swing than he had a couple of years ago.
Well, he's stronger. I mean, he's grown into more of being a man. You know, when you first come up out of the minor leagues, you know, you can't rush it.
And Jesse will track this down right by the foul line in right field. The pinch hitter for the Pirates, Jordan Luplow, hitting in the pitcher spot. Winker hauls it in right at the foul line at the 320 mark. And here comes Marte. He'll get a nice round of applause from the Pirate fans here. I mean, I'm not going to compare him to Jeff Bagwell, who just went into the Hall of Fame this week, but Jeff Bagwell had only 5 home runs as a minor leaguer. And people say, where's the power? Is he going to hit home runs in the major leagues? He went to the Hall of Fame with over 400 home runs. Sometimes it comes early, sometimes it comes late. I mean, you watched Stanton or you watch Judge, they always had big time power. Sometimes it comes later. Dribble down to short. Peraza has to hustle, and they get Marte by a step 2 away. Well, while all this is going on and the Reds have piled up some runs 8-1, Chris, you said Homer Bailey's just trying to do it inning by inning and figure out, what am I doing with this arm that's been reconstructed again? So far so good on this night. He's allowed only 1 run, and we're here in the 5th inning.
I really hope that his thought about his arm is a fleeting thought. You don't even take it with you out there onto the mound. It's hard enough to get big league hitters out. If you're worried about them, you can't worry about your arm too. So hopefully that arm feels good. It's going to stay together and will deliver a lot of action for the Reds over the next few years. What's more important is the way that Bailey has kind of been able to get it together here after the first inning, which is a very long inning, 3rd inning where it could have crumbled on him, and he's now putting it together to give the Reds a deep outing. It's exactly what they're looking for out of Bailey.
Nobody on, 2 away. Frazier doubled last time up. The hits for the Pirates tonight: a single infield variety by McCutchen and a single by Bell to right field in the 1st. That produced the 1st run. A double by Frazier in the 3rd, and that's it so far. Line and pass. Peraza in the left. Nice swing by Frazier. Went the other way with it. He's 2 for 3. And don't forget, tomorrow on the newest edition of Reds Weekly, Anthony DeSclafani getting closer by the day to making his 2017 debut. What's in the future for closer Raisel Iglesias? And why does each member of the Reds bullpen covet the silver jacket? Tune in to an all-new Reds Weekly tomorrow night at 6 on Fox Sports Ohio and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Jeff Pecoro and Doug Flynn will take you through another great edition. If you want to get behind the scenes of Reds baseball, Reds Live and Reds Weekly will do it day in, day out, week in, week out. So runner on first, 2 outs, and here's McCutchen. Dribble to short. They'll have to go to first, and they'll get the out. Well, McCutchen grounds out. He's 1 for 3, and Bailey's in command, 8-1. By T-Mobile. We talk about the month of July. The Dodgers 20-3 in July, best in any month since the New York Giants in 1936, 24-3. Jose Altuve, he just keeps humming along, highest in a month since Ivan Rodriguez in June of 2004. And Steve Pearce, 2 walk-off grand slams in the last 5 days for the Blue Jays, 2 in the first 40 years of the franchise. So Pearcey's got it working. And the Blue Jays trying to hang in there. In the standings, you know the story. We told you about the Cubs starting the day with a lead over Milwaukee of 2.5 in the Central. The Dodgers a 14-game lead over Arizona, 14.5 over Colorado. Jordan Luplow will stay in the game. He'll go to left field. Marte will move to center. McCutchen is out of the game. There's Wade LeBlanc who will take over, facing Joey Votto. That's a strike, 0-2. Now this is his 40th appearance of the year. That's a career high for Wade. One of his best was earlier in this year against Cincinnati. Hit hard down to short. Jordy Mercer has it. Joey's retired. 1 for 4 is Votto as he leads off the 6th. Duvall single and a double on the night. 2 for 3 as he comes to the plate here in the top of 6. This game 1 of the 3-game set. Tomorrow Robert Stevenson goes against Trevor Williams. And Sal Romano goes against Chad Kuhl. That'll be on Thursday. Reds live each night at 6:30. The game will follow. And tomorrow the Reds live performance will come right after Reds Weekly, which will be at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. And the Reds head home to take on the Redbirds. Hope you join us this weekend at Great American Ballpark. I wonder if he's looking at highlights of Jim Day last night at the wrestling.
Probably. Maybe not anymore, knowing that we're looking over his shoulder.
Now those tablets that you have on the bench, all that they can watch are preloaded scouting and informational video. You can't watch a live game. All you can see is if a pitcher's coming up or another batter's coming up, you can't look at that video.
Well, if you preloaded, for instance, the pickoff move of Wade LeBlanc, that would be something perhaps that Billy Hamilton would be looking at. You know, that, you know, prepare him. All right, if I get on base here and this game tightens up and I'm in a stolen base situation, remind me what his move looks like.
There's Scooter, bounced out, singled in a run in the 4th. 2 for 3. Out in front of the changeup, popped up. Is there going to be room for Cervelli?
Sounds like it hit our field mic.
Negotiate the on-deck circle with Suarez sitting there in a bat and a rosin sack too. Somehow he got around it, but no chance to get to the ball. Or wound up in the seats. Ooh, that got him. Hit by a pitch is Scooter Gennett, so the Reds get a base runner here in the 6th. Pirates have yet to record a 1-2-3 inning.
This is one of those that if you're the Pirates, you could almost argue that Jeanette leaned into it, not intentionally, but by not getting out of the way of the ball, he wanted to make sure he didn't give up in case it was a late breaking ball, and coming right at him and then break over the plate. It didn't break, and that's why he ended up getting hit. You hardly ever see that rule enforced, unless it's really obvious.
Down the right field line, curving foul and out of play.
In fact, they did it. You were talking about Jeff Bagwell. Biggio used to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And then Bagwell would come up next and hit home run. They get 2 runs out of it, that play.
The Killer Bees. Biggio, Bagwell, and they added Berkman. Missing down and away. And I don't know, in our career, was there a better triumvirate, Biggio, Bagwell, Ausmus, at running a clubhouse than the Astros had during that era? I mean, it was easier to be a manager on that club, whoever the manager was, because they ran the clubhouse. Not very common in this day and age.
Yeah, less common, that is, because I think of the influence a lot of times of the front office into the managerial ship and the coaching. And they're more reluctant to let the players have more power in that clubhouse, if that makes any sense. But the teams that seem to be on top have good, good presence in the clubhouse. A group of leaders, not just 1 or 2 guys. You just can't bring one guy in and expect it to change. You need a number of different guys to kind of buy in.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
They have to be good players. They have to be good citizens. They have to be ready to step up when needed.
LeBlanc peers in for his sign from Cervelli. 2-2 with 2 outs. Scooter off first. And he'll get Suarez. Suarez strikes out for the 2nd time. Reds hold on to their 8-1 lead. They strand their 7th.
July 27th at the Marlins. You know, it's hard to throw out D. Gordon once in a game. One of the fastest players of the game, one of the best base stealers. But Tucker Barnhart did something no catcher has done, and that would be throw out him twice, stealing second base. Tucker Barnhart has become one of the most efficient catchers in the game, a la the stolen base. And the Reds are the benefactors of that.
Put on a clinic in that Miami series, and today he's had a pretty good offensive day too. His single to center gave the Reds a lead 2-1. Let's head back to the studio for an update. Oh ho, an interesting development for Dusty Baker and his crew. That comes 24 hours after Gio Gonzalez had a no-hitter going into the 9th inning for the Washington Nationals, lost it in the 9th.
Yeah, I followed that story a little bit here this evening, George. The Nationals right now are saying that he has a sore neck and he slept on it wrong, so they don't think it's very serious. That would be something that they certainly wouldn't want to have happen to their star pitcher, Max Scherzer, that's for sure. Anything more than a stiff neck.
Here's David Freese. Went out here in the 6th inning. Freese walked and lined out. I guess there are a lot of ways to evaluate teams that headed towards the July 31st trading deadline. I mean, the Reds made it very clear in a rebuilding year what their direction was. A team like the Yankees or the Dodgers were looking for parts that would make their team that much more formidable. And certainly from a Dodgers standpoint, there's a bouncer back to Bailey and there's two away. You know, I mean, it's pretty clear that, I mean, it would take a major catastrophe for the Dodgers not to win the National League West. But if there's continued problems with Kershaw, they get Yu Darvish. And without Kershaw, Darvish is formidable. With Kershaw, in a lengthy series, you know who your 1 and 2 are, and maybe the pitcher of the month for the month of July, Rich Hill. There's a liner to center. Billy holds on.
Got a knuckleball.
It was stung right at him. Knuckling. He gets a glove on it, and Homer's been dandy. He's got an 8-1 lead after 6. At PNC Park, the Reds in the 2nd got a base hit from Tucker Barnhart after a double by Jose Peraza. They broke open a 1-1 game to give the Reds a 2-1 lead, and then Billy Hamilton, who had tripled in the 1st, drills his 3rd homer of the year, a 3-run shot that got the Reds off the benches to celebrate, and the Reds had a 5-1 lead. Meanwhile, Jesse Winkers picked up his 1st career homer. That made it 7-1 in the 4th. He's 1 for 3 and a walk. They stiffed him on his high fives, then finally congratulated him in the dugout. 8 runs, 11 hits, no errors for the Reds. They've stranded 6. 1-4-0. The Pirates have stranded 5. Wade LeBlanc goes into his second inning of work facing Jose Peraza. Peraza doubled and scored in the second, singled in the third, and bounced into a fielder's choice. Great to have you with us, George Grant, Chris Welch. Jim Day chronicling the month of July and the highlight moments from it. He'll be by with us shortly. The base hit by Peraza, the two of them tonight, give him a 5-game hitting streak. Billy nailing the knuckleballing shot right at him. And as he makes his way in, kind of a little bit of a hobble in the giddy up, huh? But he's okay on the bench. Third strikeout for LeBlanc. And here's Tucker. Barnhart singled in the go-ahead run in the second. Bounced into a 3-6-3 double play and walked. Milwaukee leading the Cardinals 3-2 in the fifth. And the Cubs are now leading Arizona 6-1 in the fourth in Chicago. Start of play tonight. Cubs 2.5 over the Brewers, 4.5 over the Redbirds, and 5.5 over the Pirates. Popped up right side. Who's going to take charge? Bell will, and he'll glove it. Check out the new Game of Thrones themed ticket package. For as low as $25, you get a Reds ticket and a limited edition Game of Thrones Dragon bobblehead. Purchase the Game of Thrones ticket package at reds.com/themes. The Dragon bobblehead is only available with the purchase of the Game of Thrones ticket package. So Homer's night is done. Patrick Kivlehan will pinch hit for him, and Chris, a smiling night for Homer, and Mac Jenkins, his pitching coach. Your report card on him.
I mean, you know, the report card really is a scoreboard. He gave up 1 run, was in the first inning, and gave the Reds 6 innings of baseball. So, I mean, that's probably what, at minimum, what the Reds are looking for innings-wise every time out. Anytime you give up only 1 run in a start like that, that's a very good outing. So good for Homer. Nice bounce back.
Well, last game we did on Sunday, Luis Castillo, 8 innings of brilliant baseball, 6 innings of great baseball here tonight from Homer Bailey. That's the kind of starting pitching that you have a chance every night when you get that. The Reds have had that too infrequently. Kivlehan strikes out, 4 strikeouts for LeBlanc in 2 innings of work, but the Reds in command thanks to Homer. 8-1 Reds. Marlins tell you part of the story, but the big right-hander tells an even bigger story tonight, Chris.
Well, 6 innings of one-run baseball. He's no longer the high strikeout pitcher. It may get to that, I think, when he starts really trusting his stuff. But he had a nice slider tonight. A little speed-up action that time to sneak it by Jordy Mercer. Hey, 6 innings, 1 run. Makes him happy even for the camera. That's what we're talking about.
Smiling scoreboard for the Reds, too, for Cincinnati, an 8-1 lead. So Homer's night is done. He and Tucker Barnhart teamed up dandy on this night. They'll turn it over to Blake Wood, who'll make his 44th appearance of the season. 0-4 record, an ERA of over 4. And how do you see the bullpen configuring, Chris, with Tony Cingrani going now?
Well, Cingrani really wasn't getting much in the way of any high leverage situations. You know, he had been basically relegated to somewhat of a long man, mop-up man, occasional stick you in there when we need you role. So I think that he was definitely expendable, and Wandy Peralta will end up getting all the left-handed high leverage spots. You're still going to see Iglesias at the end, Michael Lorenzen out there.
Here's Cervelli 0 for 2, a ground out and a fly out. He leads it off in the bottom of 7. Cervelli, Mercer, and then Ludlow hitting in the 9th spot. Look at this Reds bullpen, and yes, the Reds starting pitching really has been the centerfold of difficulty in the last month. And you almost had a feeling it was coming when you hit May and your bullpen has almost as many innings as your starters. It catches up to you. And Wood comes into the game tonight, his 44th appearance. There's a bouncer down to third, charging Suarez. Quick flip. They'll get Cervelli 1 away. You look at the Reds, Wood now 44 appearances, Storen 44 appearances, Lorenzen 44, Iglesias 43, and Peralta 47 appearances. They've been used a lot.
Well, they have been used a lot. For some guys like Blake Wood, those appearances add up to more pitches because he just naturally throws more pitches per inning than a lot of other relievers. Can wear you out, and he still has 2 months to go.
1 away. Here's Mercer. Flied out, struck out 0 for 2. And we've talked about this all year. The Reds have been #1 in the National League all season long. Over 400 innings. The Blue Jays at 390, the closest to them. Brewers almost 40 innings behind them in the National League. We talked earlier, Chris, about the Pirates and the Reds, similar size marketplace, similar size story. You try to be as economical as you can. This one lined into right center. Can Billy catch up to this one? Nope, it's one hop to the wall. Rounding first, going to second is Mercer. And Jordy Mercer has a 1-out, 2-base hit here in the 7th.
Mercer showing some surprising power. He's always been down in the order. He's a 255 to 260 hitter with limited power. Mercer normally talks with his glove. And you wonder if maybe the Pirates are going to make a decision on Jordy Mercer at the end of the year. He's making over $4 million this year as their shortstop. He will be eligible for this 3rd time in arbitration. And that is traditionally when the prices go up quite a bit.
There's Ludlow up for the 2nd time. He pinch hit and flied out his 1st time up. And, you know, again, as we're talking about, here's another similarity to these two teams. With the Pirates, sign Mercer to a long-term deal as they try to manage their payroll. And the Reds are in a similar scenario with Zach Cozart. Cozart on the disabled list now. I mean, the options for the Reds: do you sign Cozart to a multi-year deal at the age of 32, a 32-year-old shortstop? Do you allow him to leave as a free agent, try to re-sign him? Do you trade him this year? And obviously, with the injury, the quad injury, that became less and less of a factor heading to the trading deadline.
Well, like I said, George, just because the trading deadline has come and gone doesn't mean all the tough decisions are gone too.
You're right.
I mean, usually I would imagine, I've never been in the war room at the trading deadline or really in any other time, but I would imagine that it's exciting, but at the same time a little worrisome.
Popped into center field. Under it is Hamilton. He's got it. 2 away.
Of course, the Reds didn't have to really evaluate many of the trades, and maybe at the beginning of the year they thought they would have an opportunity to look at. I mean, Scott Feldman, even when they signed him at the beginning of the year, there's probably somebody in the organization think, hey, it's very worth we can flip him at the deadline to somebody and maybe get something in return. Well, unfortunately, Feldman, who has just joined the Reds on this part of the trip here in Pittsburgh, whose knee is getting better, was still on the disabled list. So there weren't a lot of teams coming to calling for a guy on the list, and that same thing goes for Cozart. So the Reds' luck with injuries this year, the timing really couldn't be any worse. Really a tough thing that they've had to figure out.
2-out runner at second for Starling Marte. Marte hit by a pitch, stole a base in the first, and scored, flied out and bounced out. Evan Mesoraco has had his share of injuries as well that the Reds have had to contend with. And Schebler right next to him on the disabled list tonight with the left shoulder problem. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Decisions like Mercer's or Cozart's for that matter, there's the baseball decision, the economic decision, and the emotional decision. I mean, Mercer, well liked, the leader in the clubhouse. Cozart, well liked, the leader in the clubhouse. That's part of the picture, part of the factor. All three of the components that the general manager, the president, and the owner have to come together on and decide what's best for your franchise. I mean, I don't think there's a person in the Reds organization that would not want to have Zach Cozart on this team for next year when you talk about his presence in the clubhouse and baseball.
I think if you drew up the perfect player for your ball club, and especially at that position, he would have a lot of the same qualities that Zach Cozart has.
1 ball, 2 strikes from Wood. That's wide.
But those decisions, you know, they're not always only baseball. If it was only a baseball decision, you know, running a team would be very easy. You know, you could just put some good talent out there. You mesh the guys in the clubhouse together and so on. But you don't have to worry about contracts, long-term commitments, what the fans are going to think when you don't re-sign or if you trade one of your favorite players. The thing that haunted them really with Todd Frazier.
2-2.
Ouch.
In on the hands.
Man.
Good pitch by Wood, and that'll take care of Marte. 2-0 to show for it. Wood and the Reds, thanks to Homer Bailey, are leading 8-1. Great job, guys. What a catch. And we'll have more of that coming up on Reds Live postgame. We've already had a couple of outstanding catches here. Jesse Winker made a tremendous catch early in the game against the wall in right. And then Winker, who already has his first homer of the season, almost had his second. Marte tumbled into the stands and made a great catch to rob Winker of a homer. Arizmendi Alcantara pops out. He is pinch hitting for Billy Hamilton, and we told you about Billy kind of coming off the field and gimping a little bit as he headed towards the dugout. Well, Billy taken out of the game with the Reds in control here 8-1.
He didn't look bad though when he ran. He tried to run down that Jordy Mercer double in the gap. So, you know, I think they're probably as much giving him a rest, getting him off that ankle, as there is worried about, you know, not being able to perform. You know, Hamilton is the kind of player, George, that you have to protect from himself.
Yeah.
You know, because he'll never come out of a game unless you absolutely force him to.
How many times have we seen him dive, bounce off the wall?
Yeah.
Here's Jesse. A memorable night for the Reds right fielder in the starting lineup tonight. He hits his first major league homer to make it 7-1 Cincinnati in the fourth. He's 1 for 3 and a walk. And a shot right to right. It goes through the legs of Mercer. And reaching on the air will be Winker. Just like we promised you early in the game tonight. It's Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Here is the first major league homer for Jesse. Chris.
Pretty good looking swing right there. I'll tell you, you know, you're right about his swing changing. I think he's generating much more power, more bat speed, stolen by Starling Marte, but he'll have plenty more of those, I'm sure.
He was red hot coming up from Louisville, and he's swinging a good bat here tonight. Here's Joey Votto. Plated the first run for the Reds on a fielder's choice in the first. Bounced to third, single to center, and bounced to short. Hope you join us tomorrow for game 2 of this series. Robert Stevenson will try to win his first against Trevor Williams. Joey rifles this one in the right. That's a base hit. Winker will stop at second, so another multi-hit game for Joey Votto, on for the second time. And here comes Adam Duvall. Adam bounced into a fielder's choice, then ripped his 30th double of the year to lead off the third. Scored on the sacrifice fly by Suarez. Single to center in the fourth, and struck out in the sixth. If you joined us late, Jamison Ty unstarted for the Pirates, went 3 2/3, 11 hits, 8 runs, struck out 2, walked 1, in a 90-pitch 3 2/3 performance. Schugel pitched an inning and a third. LeBlanc is in his third inning of work.
Good numbers for Duvall with runners in scoring position, but really good numbers overall. His batting average is up 24 points from last year. His power is about the same. I mean, if all goes well for Duvall, he has 5 home runs each in the next month, in the next 2 months. I mean, he'll end up with the same number of home runs, and maybe in the same neighborhood of 103 runs batted in that he had last year.
Duvall retired, second out of the inning, and here comes Scooter.
Yeah, that was a little question as Duvall walks back to the dugout, George. He was one guy that I thought that there would be some other teams interested in. But we heard time and time again, even when we were visited by Tom Verducci on Friday night before the Fox game down in Miami, and he was mentioning, and he's wired to really all the national rumors and so on, that there was really hardly any interest in position players, especially outfielders. And you look at all the trades that were done, and most of them were pitchers.
Yeah, in fact, the only position player of any consequence was our good friend Adam Rosales.
Yeah.
Who, I mean, he's a great
Diamondbacks.
Yeah, he's a great
That's
guy.
because Chris Owings went on the disabled
Sure.
list, and they needed an infielder right now. I always like that trade. I mean, anywhere he goes, I'm a fan of his. But
brings
yeah, I mean,
energy.
but everybody else was a pitcher.
There might have been a market for Zach Cozart a month ago if Cozart was healthy. You know, Washington lost its shortstop. Houston lost its shortstop. So had not the injury occurred, then there was a real possibility that Zach Cozart might have been traded. 1 ball, 1 strike to Scooter. 2 for 3 and a walk and a run batted in for the Red second baseman. One and 2, clips the top end of the strike zone. Suarez on deck. 2 on, 2 out. Foul down the left field line and out of play.
Well, I guess going back a couple of weeks, you could begin to find a couple of other trades that included player J.D. Martinez went from Detroit to the Arizona Diamondbacks. That was around the middle of the month.
But not this final week.
Right. I thank Tom Brenneman. I think I recall that name from somewhere in my past, who just texted me and reminded me about that J.D. Martinez trade. So wherever he may be in parts unknown, bound to come back into the TV booth fairly soon, probably when the Reds get back in town. Tom,
Yeah.
everybody be looking for you.
Good to get Tom back. I'll go back to mowing the lawn and getting clams. Here's a bouncer. Down
At the same
third.
time?
Yes, sirree. We'll be hunting for stripers. 8-1 Reds. Series continues with Flo Rida this Friday at Great American Ballpark. See Flo Rida perform chart-topping hits including My House, Low, Cake, and a whole lot more. Don't miss Flo Rida live at the ballpark. For tickets, visit reds.com/concerts. Arizmendi Alcantara will stay in the game in center field after pinch hitting for Billy Hamilton. Drew Storen will enter the game. Homer Bailey, if he joined us late, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks for the big right-hander for the Reds. He stands to win his 6th game of his career here at PNC Park and go 9-6 in his career against Pittsburgh, with the Reds holding on to a 1-run lead. And
You know,
not a
Storen
8-1
probably,
lead.
you know, Drew Storen comes in, George, and I would imagine the Storen was probably in the last few days really on pins and needles, wondering, you know, if there were some teams calling about him. You know, has he pitched well enough maybe to be traded to a contender? He certainly has reinvented himself, and he's done a nice job for the Reds this year. 45 games now, 41 innings overall. His control has been good. His earned run average right around 3, but I think that was even blown up by a couple of just bad outings that really got away from him. One back in the middle of the month against his old team, the Washington Nationals. He was tagged for 3 runs in 1 inning. And when you're a short reliever where you don't pile up that many innings, 1 3-run in outing can, you know, ruin your summer, or at least for a month or so.
No balls, 2 strikes to Frazier, who's 2 for 3. I guess there are 2 sides of it. If you talk to Drew, he'll tell you this has been an enjoyable year for him. Not in the record book, Osuna in the on-deck circle, but he's enjoyed being in this bullpen with some of the young pitchers. As you said, you know, we've talked a lot about it this year, Chris. He has reinvented himself. He's proved that he could be a good contributor in the bullpen. And of course, he's close to home. He loves the time that he has spent in Cincinnati. Monetarily, he's made just about all of his incentives, so it's been a successful year from a contractual standpoint too. And you would figure if the Reds, as they look ahead towards 2018 and continue to reconfigure their starting and bullpen rotation, that he might fit into it again. Nubbed into center, it will drop for a base hit. So Frazier has his 3rd hit, a double and 2 singles. Leadoff hitter on here in the 8th. Don't forget, get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before every game on Fox Sports Ohio. You want to know what's coming on? Then check in with Rate St. Clair Roofing's Reds Live pregame. Brian Giesenslaw, Jeff Pecoro, and the crew. Dream Weaver and Ron Millenor will keep you up to date. Tomorrow, Robert Stevenson will try to win his first against Trevor Williams. We were in Miami talking about the deal that sent Jim Benedict, the pitching guru here in Pittsburgh, to the Miami organization. They got Trevor Williams in return, and Williams may be their best pitcher right now.
Well, Benedict may be their best pitching coach.
Here's Jose Osuna pinch hitting in the pitcher spot, which is now the 3rd spot in the lineup. Sky to the right side. Is there going to be room for Votto? It'll be about 10 rows deep. Frazier on first, Osuna at the plate. This one slapped the other way again and out of play. Valuable pinch hitter for this ball club, and he's made about 30 starts on the year as well. This one dribbled down to short. 6-4. Yes, sir. 3 as Votto keeps his foot on the bag, and the Reds will turn the double play and erase the base runner. Good job by Joey to get the ball in the dirt and keep contact with the bag at first. Josh Bell tonight, single to right, that tied the game at 1 in the first inning. The worst inning that Homer Bailey had was the first inning in his 6-inning 4-hit 1-run effort. He hit Starling Marte on a 3-1 pitch. Marte stole second. Frazier flied to right, and then McCutchen singled to deep short. A diving stop by Peraza that saved the run from scoring. In fact, he almost threw Marte out trying to get to third. Off the edge of the grass, nice play by Scooter, and they'll get the out at first. Runner erased. Reds still lead this one 8-1.
Fifth at Yankee Stadium. Reds turn their first triple play since 1995. This was the first home at bat for former Red Todd Frazier in a Yankee uniform, and it's a 6-3-5-6 double play. That rare enough, but also a run scored on. Made it even more rare, but Reds turned it against their former teammate. Your top moment of July.
Well, that just happens to be the subject of my rule of the week, which I'll be sending out tomorrow, about how do you score a run on a triple play. And what made it so is all about the timing play. I put a poll on Twitter tonight asking if you could score a run on a triple play. Most people are getting that right. And it's interesting how, you know, it boils down sometimes whether you hustle or not, is whether you get a run on that timing play. And boy, the Reds were able to get out of that inning, and Luis Castillo will never forget that. Neither will Todd Frazier in his first at bat at home as a New York Yankee.
Max Morov enters the game at third. Jan Marinez will be the new pitcher. Osuna stays at the game at first. 8 runs, 12 hits, no errors, 8 left for the Reds. 1-6-1, 6 left for Pittsburgh. Marinez delivers, and he joined us late. The Reds, of course, lost Tony Cingrani in the deal yesterday, trading deadline deal. The Pirates lost Tony Watson, so Tony Watson no longer part of this bullpen as we head into this 3-game set. And when the Reds came to town, Chris, more often than not, you'd see Tony Watson 1, 2, or 3 days against the tough Reds lefties.
Kind of like Segrist from St. Louis. I mean, you know, Joey Votto expected to see Watson. Watson expected to see Votto. Any other left-handers in the lineup the same way.
This
That
one
ball
sent to right
struck.
field, going way back. That's going to be gone. Eugenio Suarez, who sacrificed fly, plated a run in the third, rips his 17th home run, his second run batted into the day, 53 on the year, and Eugenio has made it a 9-1 game.
Suarez has been kind of all over the batting order in the last couple of weeks. Batting up in the top of the order a couple of times in Miami, and he just takes a 2-0 pitch and waits back on it, puts a good swing on it. Nicely done.
Well, Mourinho is greeted by the homer for Eugenio tonight. Struck out, sacrifice fly, walk, strikeout, and then the homer. Here's Peraza. Double, single, ground out, strikeout for Jose. Now a 5-game hitting streak. Eight for 17 starting in the Miami series. So as lost as he looked a week ago, he's turned it around a lot in the last 5 games.
Yeah, really, before the injury to Zach Kozar, it looked like that, you know, Peraza had played him out of everyday play, played himself out of playing every day. And, you know, Kozar goes on the DL, and that necessitates him playing shortstop on a full-time basis instead of losing his second base job to Scooter Gennett. And that's when he began to turn it on a little bit.
Two-two pitch. And we'll go full 3-2. Mourinho's claimed off waivers back in the middle of May from Milwaukee. Or early in the year, he had struggled out of the bullpen. Those of you that haven't followed the Pirates of late, of course, Watson gone. He was the closer, then bumped back to set up. Felipe Rivero taking over the closer's role here. Broken bat, dribbled down to short. Mercer scoops, not in time. The speed of Jose Peraza on that dribbler to short. He's got a 3-hit game tonight. He continues his multi-hit efforts.
Well, I think the speed of Peraza is the one thing that really intrigues the Reds. I mean, you can always look into your minor leagues and find guys that can play major league defense, and maybe even find guys that can play major league defense and hit 250. But the upside for Peraza, because he's got that extra speed down to first baseline and an occasional power in his bat, and he's only 23 years old, I think puts him atop of all the other infielders the Reds have that they're looking for to plug in on a full-time basis.
A homer and an infield hit, and here's Barnhart, the switch hitter. Single to center back in the second. That gave the Reds a 2-1 lead. Bounced into a 3-6-3 double play, walked, and then popped out to first. A little wide, 2-1. In the 7th now, Milwaukee leads the Cardinals 3-2, and the Cubs are now 8-1, leading Arizona. They're in the 6th. A little low, and it'll be 3 balls, 1 strike to the Reds catcher. High fly ball to right. It's going to stay in the park. Jaso will haul it in. Back to first goes Peraza. It's been an interesting last couple of days. Tonight, 9 runs, the most for the Reds have scored since June the 6th against the Cardinals. That's something that puts a smile on Brian Price's face, and it comes one game after he had a starter go into the 8th inning for the first time since the last week of May. Two things that have been infrequent for the Reds manager.
You know, there's so much that you're powerless to do other than make notes when you see your team playing the way it is. I mean, of all those days that have gone by since the last time the Reds scored 9 runs, how many times did his pitching staff give up 9 runs in the first 5 innings?
Stuart Turner pinch hitting, sends this to center field. Marte under it. He'll glove it. That's your second out of the inning. But Turner gets a pinch hit appearance for Storen. There's 2 away, and here comes Alcantara in Billy Hamilton's spot. Billy, triple and a homer in 4 plate appearances before leaving the game. Reds had an off day yesterday, but the grind doesn't end. 37 games in 38 days. This off day, the only off day they have in the middle of that 38 game stretch. Marte has it. Homer by Suarez gives the Reds a 9-1 lead to the bottom of 9. Night where Homer Bailey got it going. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio has been brought to you by Kroger. Stop by your neighborhood Kroger to save big store wide. Great food, low prices, all at Kroger. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Don't forget, Reds come home to take on the Redbirds this Friday. Cheer on the Reds for as low as $12. Plus, don't miss a spectacular post-game fireworks show presented by Tri-Alp and a post-game concert featuring Flo Rida. For tickets, visit Reds.com. Kevin Shackelford will try to close it out in the ninth. If he joined us late, Homer Bailey, story of the night on the mound. 6 innings, 4 hits, a run, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. On the other side of it, Jamison Taillon went 3 2/3, allowed 11 hits and 8 runs, 2 strikeouts and 1 walk. Well, Shackelford follows Wood an inning, Storen an inning, and here's Shackelford in the ninth.
Well, Shackelford is a young man that grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, went to Marshall University, and then the Brewers drafted him in 2010, 21st round, and he was traded to the Reds in 2014. In a deal that sent Jonathan Broxton going the other way. So last year after the season, he was granted free agency, and then shortly after that came back and re-signed a deal with the Reds, and here he is making his major league debut this year. He's in his 3rd game for the Reds. He was up a little bit earlier.
Dealing to Max Moroff. 2 balls and 1 strike. Who came in at 3rd last inning. Down to 3rd, fair ball under the glove of Suarez down the left field line. And the leadoff hitter will be on here in the 9th. It'll be scored a base hit. I'm not sure even if he backhands it the way it was dribbling that he would have had to play at first. It scored a base hit.
Well, I think the Reds are fortunate that he ends up on first base and not second base. Not for lack of hustle, just the fact that they're down by 8 runs or so that they decided not to push it.
Camara Barti, the first base coach here in Pittsburgh now. Joey Cora down in the 3rd base box. There's John Jaso 0 for 3. Line to right. Bounce to first and line to center. Nobody out in the 9th. The Reds double play depth middle of the infield. Little giddy up on that one and tardy on the swing is Jaso. Guess you say he's due, huh?
The cynics would say he's overexposed. The fans would say he's due. You know, he's been used to the last couple of years. I think the most at bats he's had in one season is somewhere around the 300 to 330 mark, which would be less than what a full-time player gets. You need 501 to qualify for batting title. Plate appearances, that is. But playing every day, you know, there's an old saying about that, is if I play an extra guy every day, I eventually find out why he's an extra guy. But he's been very good coming off the bench for the Pirates, and a really good left-handed hitter in clutch situations, facing hard-throwing right-handed closers and setup guys at the end of a game. He can usually hit a fastball, Jaso can.
His start today in right field, his 25th start of the season. Originally, when they brought him here, they had planned he might plug the hole at first. Never panned out that way. A swing and a miss, and there's out number 1 of the 9th inning. First strikeout for Shackelford. And here comes Cervelli, 0 for 3, 2 ground outs and a fly ball out for the Pirates catcher. You say it often, Chris, this is a game of opportunity, and Shackelford is one of those on the opportunity list here in this final 2 months.
I mean, that's all you hope for. He's 28 years old. He's hung around a long time, played a lot of minor league games. You know, this is what you come for. This is why you've trained. This is why you've been dreaming about it your whole life. And you think, all right, if I can put a couple of good performances together here at the big league level, I'm being scouted by a different set of eyes. So now when teams are looking for somebody, maybe in the offseason, maybe the Reds have room for him, maybe they don't. But somebody might, and your chances are better if you pitch well.
Came up with the Reds for 3 days back in June, went back down to Louisville, and had great numbers at Louisville. In fact, made the AAA All-Star game that was played at Tacoma this year, and had an impressive performance at the All-Star game. Tries to check it, and he doesn't. That's a strike. PCL in that All-Star game, beat the International League 6-4. That's a looper down the right, curving into the seats. That means when the PCL and the International League meet for the AAA National Championship game, which will be at Scranton Wilkes-Barre in September, the PCL will be the home team. I mention that because the last 2 years the Reds have wound up picking up a player that played in it. Last year Patrick Kivlahan played for the Padres AAA team from El Paso. Reds signed him right after that and brought him to the major leagues. As you always say, there's always somebody watching you, right?
Yeah, you really never know.
One ball, 2 strikes to Cervelli.
I mean, you could say the same thing about the way that the Red Scouts scouted Blake Wood a few years ago. He had a tremendous year down in Indianapolis for the Pirates AAA team. When September came around, he did not get a call up, even though he was a closer, had most saves of anybody, and ends up signing a free agent deal, a major league deal with the Reds. That was last year, and he came back again this year. So that comes under the category of you never know who's watching.
Shackelford to the stretch, runner off first. Votto playing behind the runner down at first. Did he go? Did he get a piece of it?
He said he went. Hamari, the home plate umpire,
Hamari
said he went, and that was twice on that at bat. That Cervelli can't be too happy about that. He's not going to argue 8 runs down. The Pirates were in San Diego yesterday. They had a long flight back. And they're playing like a team that's still on West Coast time.
Here's Jordy. Mercer doubled his last time up, 1 for 3. And you know, I mean, all the interviews that went around baseball after the trading deadline ended yesterday, those teams that added people, the interviews in the clubhouse saying, well, we're happy we brought this player in or that player in because the front office has shown they think we have a chance. And here, when you lose Tony Watson, who's the leader of your bullpen, it sends a different kind of message. Fly ball to center, hit a ton, but at the warning track is Alcantara, and he'll haul it in. Mercer's retired, and so are the Pirates. A smiling scoreboard for the Reds and a smile for Jesse Winker. His first major league homer, and he came up with a brilliant catch as well. Add it all up, and the Reds continue their luck against Pittsburgh. They're 7-1 against the Buccos this year. They win it here today by a final of 8-1. A smiling scoreboard, Chris, and go figure, the year that the Reds are struggling, not against the Pirates this year.
Well, not against the Pirates, and I'm sure the Pirates aren't happy about that, but they're somewhat in the same situation. So the Reds get out of Miami. They come up here to Pittsburgh, familiar territory, put a win on the board, and maybe build a little momentum before they head back home, but they've got a couple of more